It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, we've all seen those commercials that Progressive puts out there, right? If you look on the Sharp Interactive board, you see Dr. Rick over here, and he's the guy that's been helping the younger generation not be like their parents, right? We've all seen those commercials. Well, folks, the younger generation of the Document Imaging Channel, those friends of mine that sell supply and service print equipment, they reached out to me and they said, hey, end of the day with Ray, can you do us a favor? I was more than happy to do them a favor. I love the younger generation. They said, you know, Dr. Rick's been helping out the younger generation not be like their parents, but there's a bigger problem between the generations. And I'm like, oh, tell me about this problem. They said, well, the reality of it is the old people inside the Document Imaging Channel are doing really stupid things, and the younger generation's questioning whether we should stay in the channel or not. This is a crisis, and I want to help them. And I'm like, well, what do you mean they're doing nutty, crazy things? And folks, as they were explaining to me some of the nutty things the old people are doing, I got to admit, I had to look at myself and say, oh, I'm doing some of that stuff. And so I got to start fixing some stuff too, because I am one of the old people in the industry. But the younger generation, they're just like looking at the old folks and they're thinking to themselves, what in the hell is this industry going to? These old people are doing some really nutty, stupid things. So I thought what I would do is put an episode together to help out these younger generations. And I call it Dr. Ray is here to help the next generation by helping the older generation. So I'm going to help the older generation recognize some of the nutty old things they do that they need to stop doing because the younger generation is running out the door. And folks, I want to base this off of like a convention, because these younger generation folks, they show up at these conventions or these meetings, and they're there and they're thinking to themselves, this is just weird. And then they start watching what the old people are doing. They're like, oh my gosh, these people are crazy. And so without any further ado, I need all my friends in the Document Imaging Channel to get on the Sharp Interactive board with me, and I want you to think about yourselves at one of your recent meetings, maybe, in the Document Imaging Channel. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So folks, I put together kind of a collage here, and I'm gonna turn on the Sharp Interactive board. I got to get my magic pen working, and I wanna highlight some of the things that the younger generation was talking to me about, because folks, I got to tell you something. Some of this stuff's spot on, and it's pretty damn scary. I want to start over here at the hotel. So we're going to go to a convention. We're going to show up at the hotel, and the younger generation is telling me, Ray, you know, when we show up to the hotel, we don't want to see a bunch of wheelchairs and canes and walkers out front ready for the guest, okay? I'm thinking to myself, that's probably a good thing. So if you're going to a convention, if you're setting up a convention, make sure you kind of hide the wheelchairs and the walkers and stuff. You know, you could tell these folks where they could pick those up, but don't put them right out there in the front of the hotel, because the young generation, they drive up in their nice little sports cars and stuff, and they're thinking to themselves, what are we gonna geriatrics convention here? It kind of freaks them out a little bit. So just keep conscious of that. The other thing I'm going to tell you is the computer bag's got to go. Okay, now folks, this kind of hit home to me, because I don't know, those that have seen me out in the marketplace, well, that computer bag picture is actually my computer bag. And folks, it's got to go. And I'm going to tell you something. You know, I go up to my friends at Impact Networking. I'm doing some interviews up there, and some of the young folks come up to me and they're like, what the hell is that thing? And I'm like, well, that's my computer bag. And this young gal says, you look like my granddad is an insurance salesman. Are you going to go out and, you know, make cold calls on people's houses? I mean, what are you doing? And I thought, oh, I don't want to look like an old insurance salesman. So I, here, you know what they did? They gave me this Dot Security knapsack. I love it. Are you calling these things knapsacks or computer bags? See, that's the other thing. Old people don't know what to call stuff sometimes. But I got to tell you, I really like this thing. I can hang it on my back. I can put stuff in it. I mean, it's really kind of cool. I feel about 20 years younger when I use that as opposed to using that old man bag. The other thing the younger generation's saying is don't give them business cards. Okay? Just stop that nonsense. You know, and when you do, you know, they're tired of the conversations about the business cards. You know, they realize that, you know, the print industry is kind of important to this industry, but at the end of the day, it's all trying to transition, and there's nothing worse than some old person handing a young person a business card and then explaining to them the print process of the card. You notice all the foil on this card, how shiny it is and how thick it is? The younger generation's like, are you just nuts? What they want you to do is just give them the QR code right off your LinkedIn. Boom, boom, we're connected. I got all your information. They love that stuff. Technology's amazing. The other thing you don't want to do is pull out your day timer. You know, don't be sitting there next to the younger generation, pull out your day timer and start putting, you know, notes down there. They're like, what is this person doing? They're probably thinking, what the hell is that thing? He's got some kind of notebook thing he's writing down with lines all over it. I mean, they'd be really confused, and you just kind of look dumb. The other thing they're thinking is, don't bring stuff to build scrapbooks at the convention. Like, you don't need to get all your stickers out and put them on the table next to your day timer, and you probably got a 3-ring binder that you're putting the brochures in and stuff. They're thinking, just be in the present. Pay attention to the presentation, learn some stuff. And it'll all be digitized after the event's over. You'll get all this stuff in a digital format. You don't need to take notes. And the young generation's thinking, and please stop taking pictures of the PowerPoint slides. They're like, this is crazy stuff. Why are you sitting there taking a picture of a PowerPoint slide that's all going to be given to you at the end of the convention? I mean, if you stay in the present, you'll probably learn more. You can listen to the speaker. Don't take pictures of PowerPoint slides. That's just something that the young generation is noticing the older people doing a lot more of lately. And basically photos, while I'm on that, the younger generation is thinking, well, y'all quit doing selfies. They think you're nuts. There's a place for selfies. It's called Facebook. Okay. And maybe the Snapchat thing, right? But, the LinkedIn and the business social media platforms, they don't want to be having selfies taken with them. And they're telling the old people, why are you taking this picture? So it's you and them. You have to ask yourself the why. So if you're going to take a picture of someone, ask yourself the why, because you got to put context to the content. Put context to the content. That's what these younger generations are saying. Quit showing pictures of yourself running around at a convention with people with no context to the content. You look like you're kind of nuts, okay? And so, folks, the other thing that the younger generation is noticing at these conventions is, why the hell do they have to get up so early for the continental breakfast? They're thinking 6 a.m. is way too damn early, and every time they hear the word continental breakfast, they start thinking about their great-granddad's 1977 town car. I mean, that's what they're thinking. They're thinking, I do not want to get up at 6 a.m. I mean, the younger generation, you know what they want, folks? Real simple. They want a Lamborghini brunch, and they want to start about 11, okay? They want to get up about 11. They want a Lamborghini lunch. They don't want a continental breakfast. They want to think about stuff that's exciting, the Lamborghini. They want to go and look at a spread of food that the older generation doesn't even know what it is, okay? I mean, there's going to be a lot of kale on that too, by the way. But there'll be the kale stuff. There'll be all kinds of food on there. The older generation will look at this food and they'll think to themselves, where the hell's the meat and the potatoes? We need a bloody piece of meat. Younger generation, they're like, what is wrong with these people? What is wrong with these people? They want to have quiche, they want to have the kale. They want to have, the probably the drinks that are like green, and you're thinking to yourself, why would anybody drink that? Younger generation likes to drink it. Don't knock it, okay? You got to go where the young people are going, because the young people are the future of the industry. So, folks, here's some really important things, right? Really important things that we got to pay attention to. But I put a list together, so hang on a second, because I got to go through this list, folks, because there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things the old people are doing. And I'm really afraid that the younger people, they're just going to get tired of it. I'm going to read through these really kind of quick for you. We can talk about it, but no snoring through relevant content. The younger generation is saying, I'm sitting next to this old person, and, when they were talking about duplexers and toner bottles, the old person was all excited, was wide awake. They started talking about AI and RPA technologies, and next thing I know, the old person next to me is snoring. And by the way, and I can attest to this because it happens to me, a lot of times the old people, when they breathe, they got the nasal thing going on. I got some nasal issues, right? You all notice that from my videos. But, boy, there's nothing worse than when you're sitting there, you're half asleep, and you're whistling through your nose. And the younger generation is like, who the hell's whistling? They look over and it's the old guy, sleeping through the presentation. Don't stand at the food line 20 minutes before it starts. Younger generation, they're like, well, where the hell are all these people going? Well, lunch is at 12. We got to get to the food line. It's only like 11:30. Aren't you going to stay for the presentation? Kind of think about that, because the younger generation thinks you're kind of nuts when you hang out at the food line like a cattle waiting for the food to come. Don't order stupid drinks that date you. All these conventions, they got the open bars. Don't walk up there and order a 7 and 7. Okay? And the ladies, a slow gin fizzes. Okay, don't do that. Okay? Because we got some older women too. It's not just the old men that do these nutty things. So you want to make sure you kind of order relevant drinks. And these bars really should have some relevant, beverages on them. Like, we want martinis. The younger generation says, where's the martinis? Where's the chocolate martini? They like these martinis, all kinds of different flavors. And we need to have that ready for them, because the younger generation, and they don't want Bud. Like, they're not going to drink the Budweiser, okay? And Bud Lights. They want, the really good beer, maybe the beer from the local community. They don't want like the stuff you buy at the 7-Eleven. They want the good beer. So keep that in mind. Don't give out false accolades to young folks or other old people. These younger people, you don't have to walk up to them and tell them how smart they are because they're young. They're thinking to yourself, well, guess what? You're an old person. You're not that smart. You just kind of look. They don't want you to be their granddad at the convention. They want you to be a peer. Okay? They don't want you to walk up there and start talking about how great they are and how handsome or pretty they are. They're just like, can you just treat me like a business person? And the old people sometimes, we do some really nutty things. And not only do we do it with the younger generation, we run around and slap each other on the back, and the older generation is thinking to themselves, did they have everybody wins a trophy when those old people were in school? Because they sure act like it now. You see, the younger generation, they're watching the older generation. Watch them like a hawk. Watch them like a hawk. Don't tell stories about the 1990s. No one cares. Unless you could bring some kind of substance to that story to the relevant times. We start talking about the 1990s, the younger generation is looking at you and thinking to yourself, I already know you're old. What are you reminding me for? I mean, do you have anything relevant with that story? Why was that story in 1990 important to today, right? Don't put taglines describing a made-up award. I had some of the younger generation to say, what's going on in that industry? We got these old people out there putting these taglines underneath their name in social media about some award they won, which is obviously a fake award. It's just like, what is the deal with that? Are these people this insecure? They're thinking, if the older generation is this insecure, do we really want to be in this industry? So you better pay attention to kind of what you're using for your taglines. The younger generation really doesn't care that you won some award that 100 other people might have won it too, and there's no basis or science behind the award. They think you're nuts. Don't tell the audience there will be time to make telephone calls and check email. The younger generation, they're sitting there getting ready for the presentation, and some old fool's on stage talking about how there'll be time to make telephone calls and email, I assure you. Depending on the hotel, I guess you're having a convention at. But, 99.999% of the hotels in the world don't have the phone booths anymore. There's no telephone call timeouts, okay? I mean, the younger generation, they're using their mobile smartphones, I know we don't like them, using them in the meetings and stuff, but I got to tell you something, folks. The way the world works today, the younger generation is in communication all day long. You don't need to give them a timeout to do it. They know how to do it. They know how to multitask like nobody's business. Unbelievable. Don't play elevator music before the event starts. I mean, do you ever go to these events? You get up in the morning, because they make you get up so damn early, and you're walking down there in the hallways, and there's a few people there. Mainly it's all old people. If you're one of the younger people, happen to get out of bed early. But you look at all these old people walking around with their coffee cups and all. You can hear the clanking, them stirring stuff, and the music's. I mean, you're getting ready to walk into a room and you think there's obviously going to be a coffin in there with a body in it. I mean, it's like you're at a wake. The younger generation, they want some boom, 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 boom music. They want you to wake up. We're up. We're going. We're going to kick it butt. We're going to have a great meeting. That's what they want. I mean, I got to tell you something. The Document Imaging Channel, the music they play sometimes is nutty. Here's what I'll suggest. The old people, you got your favorite, musicians, most of them are dead, but they're your favorites. But what you want to do is play that music like maybe 30 minutes before dinner time. Because it'll just be the old people there waiting to eat, right? The younger generation, they like to show up fashionably late. So that, just go ahead and play the music from your favorite singers that went back to 1950 or something. Play that 30 minutes before dinner, and you won't really kind of make the young people think you're nuts, okay? Don't put magazines on tables. Put them in the restrooms where they might be read. Folks, here's the deal. You go to the convention, you don't need to take the publications the industry has that they still print in a magazine form and plaster those all over the tables. Nobody's going to read that crap. And when you put them in the knapsacks, they don't want to put them in there. Those knapsacks, they're carries. Those are for relevant stuff, okay? They don't want to fill them up with magazines and stuff. And while I'm on that subject, okay, old people, don't run around to all the vendors and collect a whole bunch of stuff. The bling. Like, what are you doing with this stuff? See, the younger generation, they're thinking to themselves, when my dad used to go to conventions, he'd bring home all this crap, and he'd give it to us kids like we were special. And so now they're opposed to that. They don't want to collect a bunch of bling and crap. I mean, I really believe that some of the vendors go around and collect stuff so that they can give it away at their booth. I was at a technology convention and I could have sworn there was a software company giving away the Great America Lipstick as an example. So we want to make sure we don't just run around and collect a bunch of bling. Folks, I got one more slide to share with you here. And this slide is something I want everybody to pay attention to. I'll probably do a whole episode on this. Business is not a monarchy. It can't be about you. It has to be about them. And I'm talking about the younger generation, some of the nepotism we see inside the marketplace. But folks, here's the reality. The younger generation doesn't want their whole career to be about you. They really have principles. They have pride. They want to work hard and accomplish their own thing. So I want you all to keep that in mind. The younger generation is not the older generation's pets or puppies. Just something to think about. I hope this helps, because the younger generation, they're getting a little bit frustrated. We don't want them leaving the channel. And everybody watching me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all on Monday.